Despite an encounter with 9 space saucers and a newfound global celebrity, Kenneth Arnold had not yet experienced weirdness, at least not the depth of the weirdness that his investigation of the Maury Island event ultimately would bring. Next came his second UFO encounter in the Cal-Air single engine. He took off on July 29th at 5:30 in the morning with a fuel tank only partly full for a stop to refuel in La Grande, Oregon. He also had business there, and then he planned to go on to Tacoma to talk to Chrisman and Dahl. That's from Maury Island UFO, The Chrisman Conspiracy by Ken Thomas. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Stench of Truth. Oftentimes in my talks, I am very vocal in what is wrong with this country and with the world in general and with the people who run things. And I spend a lot of my time pointing out the faults and the problems. And I do not spend enough time talking about solutions. And I think that this is one of the greatest problems with the so-called truth movement and with so-called alternative media groups and people like Alex Jones, for instance, where they think that their only role is to tell people that they need to wake up and see what's going on around them. We've moved beyond the point now where you should be focused on waking people up. The most important thing now is to focus on solutions. What are the solutions to the problems that we face? What should you do? What should I do? What should everybody who cares, who gives a fuck about anything, what should they be doing? What are the answers? What's the solution? Well, as I talked to you previously in a video, I pointed out the fact that we are purposely being inundated with information all the time. And if you remember, a lot of you, I'm sure, saw the movie V for Vendetta. When it seemed as though the people were getting a little bit fed up with the government in that movie, they poured it on in the media with stories of terrorism and sickness outbreaks and all kinds of other things in a desperate effort to try to make the people afraid again and to make them feel that they needed the government. And this is exactly what we're faced with today. We're faced with this constant barrage of fear so that people will hunker down. So my question to you is, you may think that the FEMA camps are coming and you're going to be dragged away, but what are you going to do until they come and kick in your fucking door? Are you going to do anything, or are you just going to sit there and wait for it to happen? Yes, there are a lot of fucking bad possibilities that could happen. Absolutely. And I think some of them are coming our way. But you can't just sit there and do nothing. Now, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm going to tell you what I do and what I think should be done by everybody who gives a fuck about anything. Because we still live in a country that is, at least in name, a republic. And we still have people in Washington who supposedly serve our interests. And for that reason, we have a responsibility to try and change things before they reach the point where your door is getting busted in and you're getting dragged to a fucking detention camp. So, what can be done? You can't focus on everything. As I said before, you can't do that. You have to pick your targets. You have to decide what's important for you. What is the most important thing for you? Is it the possibility that your children may be forced to get some flu vaccine that is filled with all kinds of shit? Well, then focus on that. Okay? Is it that you're worried about the military becoming involved in law enforcement? and the national level exercise and FEMA and all these other areas, then focus on that. Pick whatever it is in your life that's the most important thing that you think is vital to saving whatever you think is the core of what's left of this country, and focus on it. And then start a campaign. Start a campaign by calling your representatives, call their local offices, and call their Washington, D.C. offices. Call your senators, both their local and their Washington offices, and write them letters regularly. Call them every other day. Put signs on your car. Put signs outside your house advertising the issue that you think is important. Don't try to wake your friends up. Chances are most of your friends either have gotten sick of hearing you talk about whatever it is you talk about and just don't have time for it anymore and wish you would shut the fuck up because they're happy living in their fucking sleep, not caring about anything, or they already have a basic grasp of what's going on. Instead of trying to wake people up, clue them into your issue. Get them on board of your issue. You can find people in your own community and amongst your own friends and family that can grasp what it is you're trying to say about that one thing. You don't have to convince everybody that 9/11 was an inside job. You don't have to convince everybody that the government is totally out of control. You don't have to convince everybody that international bankers are running the whole fucking world and we're all going to be reduced in population. You don't have to convince them of any of those things. All you have to do is pick your one area. And if we all pick an area, if we all choose our battles and we go to battle very prepared, we're going to force some kind of action. And hopefully it'll be action for the better. It'll be actual change. It'll be change that we want. But if all we do is sit, hunkered down, waiting for them to come for us, waiting for the country to fucking fall apart, waiting for the economy to explode, and waiting for all of the things that we talk about all the time to happen, then we're just as much to blame for when it does. So, my answer is, I don't know if it's your answer, but my answer is pick a battle. Pick whatever it is you think is the most important thing to you right now. What's the most important thing to the country? What's the most important thing in your life? Is it unemployment? Is it vaccines? Is it the swine flu? Is it the healthcare issue? Whatever it is, focus on it. Like a fucking laser beam. Call, write, be a pest to all of your elected officials. Everywhere, from the local all the way up, on the issue that you want to focus on. And pour all your effort into that. And if we all can do that about our each and every issue, we can get people entirely focused. And focused on concrete issues to try to change things before it reaches that point that we all have a desire to just sit back and wait until it happens. Now's the time for solutions. So let's grasp them. Let's do something about them before that thing that you fear comes to pass. Thank you. Good night.